He'll know better than me, but I'm curious to see what he thinks. We're mixing in some Major League Baseball, Gabe, because it's a Friday, so we got to be fully involved.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a massive night tonight as far as quality games, big-time games, elimination games. You look at it in the National Basketball Association, we got the Magic and the Pistons, the Raptors and the Cavaliers. So we've got some really good stuff, the Lakers and the Rockets. But in my opinion, Kevin, none of it easy to handicap and or bet on tonight. Right? And similar in the National Hockey League as well, in which I look at the NHL games, and it's been unpredictable. Let's call it out for what it is. It's been unpredictable. The only thing predictable about both postseasons is that they've been unpredictable. So as soon as you sort of think you know, that's when you're reminded you don't. No.
Yeah.
Now, with all that being stated, it doesn't mean we're not betting tonight, so let's rock.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And I got to tell you, yesterday is as bad of a day as I've had during the NBA postseason. And there's this element of gun shy that, because again, like, this is the thing. And I say this not to put anyone down anywhere else, but like, Gabe and I are not here giving you picks and then not betting the games, not watching the games. Like, no, like, so if we have good nights, we have good nights. And if we have bad nights, we have bad nights. So when Jalen Johnson checks into the fourth quarter of a 50-point blowout, 3-point and rebounds away from a prop, makes 2 free throws and checks out, I'm annoyed, right? When Nikola Jokic can't make any of his threes and they lose a game as an 8-point favorite, I'm annoyed. So I entered tonight maybe a little annoyed, but still plenty excited.
Remember, scared money never wins, but I don't know if annoyed money wins either. Right? Like, it's sort of thing. Listen, I get your pain. Listen, it's so cool, these playoffs, and especially for people that bet on every game, which a lot of you do. Like, I know a lot of, people like people follow me and stuff. They got action on every NBA game and every NHL game. And you see me, Kevin, I roll in here. I'm like, yeah, we went 3-0 in the NBA last night, but not so good in the NHL. That one night, it's like, yeah, we did better in the NHL. But like, and then there's always that one game. But I talked about it yesterday, and this is why I'm hating myself today. And I've got a million reasons, but this is another one of them, is talked about that money line parlay the other night, Kevin, right? In which the $100 bettor made $10,000 just by simply taking the 3 underdogs on an NBA slate. Not rocket science, just, had the courage to do it. So, I'll put $100 on all three underdogs to win outright. Last night, Kevin was kicking the tires on money line parlays. And I said, I don't hear you bringing up like both. Cause he's like, yeah, I'm Boston with this and, maybe with that, with that. And I said, I don't hear you talking about both underdogs like parlay, especially after last night. It happened again.
I know.
It happened again. And I don't know. Listen, you want to relive this, but I don't know. It was almost a battle of who was the most gutless team last night, wasn't it, Kevin?
Sure.
It's like the Atlanta Hawks was bad, but it was almost like, all right, it is what it is. One of these weird things that just sort of happened.
Yeah.
But then you go further. It's like, really, Boston? Like, really? And as I posted last night, maybe it's not just they had a bad night. Maybe they're just not that good anymore. Maybe they're not as good as they used to be, right?
Yeah.
And then the Denver Nuggets come in. Like the T-Wolves, like even more like late scratches, couldn't do it. I warned you about them too. I said, I don't trust them laying the points. I think the T-Wolves will step up. But you were right. Now they're just going to waste everybody's time and get murdered in the next round.
Oh, my gosh. You would think the Spurs are playing Northwestern in the next round with like the Golden Gophers with the way that these numbers are 14.5 game one lines are already out.
No respect
Spurs
for the Wolves. Now,
no,
which leads me into tonight, though, Kevin. It's almost the same thing, right? The Toronto Raptors. Emmanuel quickly scores nearly 17 points a game. Is their starting point guard and their best three-point shooter. They haven't had him in the series. Now, Brandon Ingram's out. Right? Another 22. Like, the only thing is, to be honest with you, Brandon Ingram wasn't playing well. And the Raptors were better when he was on the bench and not on the court. So this is sort of like an ugly truth. And, I wanted your take on this. Fascinating to me, Kevin, that Brandon Ingram is out. Number has not moved at all. And there wasn't this expectation, he's not going to play. People actually thought he was going to play, right? Mm-hmm. Look, he didn't play in the last game. He played 11 minutes and had 1 point. He hit a free throw. Like he hasn't done anything. Of all the players on the Raptors that I didn't think would be overwhelmed and struggle in the playoffs, it's him. So I got to be honest with you, Kevin. I don't know your take, but I'd rather Brandon Ingram out if you told me that Murray Boyles couldn't play tonight. If Scotty Barnes can't play, the series is over. Or if R.J. Barrett. But, okay, it sucks that Ingram is out, but I think all you need to know is the point spread not moving is proof that, you know what, it's okay.
Yeah, I to be honest with you, the Brandon Ingram injury, usually something like that really gets me excited, Gabe, about props. Like, okay, there's going to be value here. They're not going to adjust. I was like, I don't really care. I don't really, he's not been very good. RJ Barrett's finding his level. We've talked about what Barnes has been in this series. And honestly, for Toronto last game, the issue wasn't offense at all. I know they didn't score well in the fourth quarter.
They scored 120 points, yeah.
Exactly. So
without Brandon Ingram.
Toronto, I think, has actually posted 2 of the highest point totals in losses all postseason, right? I mean, off the top of my head, Gabe, they may have the 2 highest point totals in How many teams have scored 113 and lost in this playoffs? There's been a lot of ugly scores and basketball games.
The Cavs are not
here.
A good defensive team, but they found a way to win a couple of these games.
I know Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Yeah. I remember when Mobley and Jared Allen were supposed to be this invincible force, and they were. It was like, wow, can't deal with these 2 in the paint. How are you going to do with this? It's like, no, you drop 120 on them now in their building.
Jalen Duren is dying to play those 2 instead of Wendell Porter
Suddenly
Jr.
he might actually score 20 points. So, and one thing with the Raptor players, you'll notice, though they're sort of role guys, play a lot better at home. Like the shots fall more for them at home. Normally we save the picks for later, but I'll throw it to you. R.J. Barrett, he's been money, bro. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the National Basketball Association. He's even underappreciated in Toronto. He's just one of these guys always going to be underappreciated for whatever reason. 25-12 in the last game, Kevin. 25-12. Back at home tonight. We talk about legacy games. This is a legacy game. He's from the Toronto area, bro. This is you know what I mean? Go off tonight. Big time game. Plus 625 double-double. You're 25-12 in the last game. And Brandon Ingram isn't playing tonight.
The crazy thing with RJ Barrett that completely snuck up on me. You know I love my series leaders. Scotty Barnes is in a great position for it. Donovan Mitchell was one of the biggest favorites to lead any series in points.
Yeah,
right now, first of all, he's in third.
He did this. I can't believe you brought this up. Last Olympics, 2 summers ago, Kevin. Team Canada leading scorer like a mark. SGA.
SGA?
Yeah, RJ Barrett smoked him. Every game, RJ Barrett, 29, 28, 24. I was like, RJ Barrett's better than people realize. I'm telling you.
122 for Barrett so far. Barnes is 2 behind, and then Mitchell's at 116. So
he's the leading scorer. He's the leading scorer in the.
He's the leading
RJ
scorer
Barrett's
in the series.
Scorer, yeah.
But, by the way, if you would have told me that RJ Barrett didn't play in the first 2 games, I would have believed you. I have no idea how RJ Barrett right now is the series leading scorer. We'll keep going through the picks
He's
here
the
on
man.
SportsGrid. There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like
to test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid. promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Manager, hitting coach, bench coach, assistant hitting coach, third base coach, hitting strategy, and game planner here. It's almost like a line change in hockey, Craig.
Some of these questions that have to be asked, Donnie, would be, what did you think a month ago, Donnie, right? Like right before the season started, did you think that these coaches were the answer to your season? Because if not, why did you wait all off season to make a change like that?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If LeBron James is the causal reason, and he would be, that the Lakers take out the Houston Rockets, I got to change my narrative a little bit. I gotta walk back some of the aggressive criticism of the self-appointed greatest player of all time, which he's not, but that's why I said self-appointed.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, live here on a Friday night, and we just talked a little Cavs Raptors. Now, it's funny, after everything that the one thing I am playing in this game is Donovan Mitchell over 25.5 points. Donovan Mitchell started the series with 32 and 30. He has missed 20. He hasn't scored more than 20 in 3 straight. Donovan Mitchell, and again, I don't know, like Kenny Atkinson's like, oh, if he's ever seen a player so selfless. Like Kenny Atkinson went to sub Mitchell in. He's like, no, Dennis Schroeder has it going. Leave him. I got to be honest. I don't like that out of my best guy, okay? I don't like that. Like, if Jonas Valanciunas had it cooking and Jokic was like, leave JV out there. No, I'm not leaving him out there. Get in the game, okay? I think Donovan Mitchell, I don't know what happens in this game. I got to be honest with you, Gabe. It's been a little tricky to watch the number move the way it has. I lean Toronto. We've talked about that. But I really expect Mitchell, win or lose, to actually score the basketball in this game.
A lot of pressure on Mitchell, a lot of pressure on Harden. My gut feel is, watching every minute of this series, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. It's a home dominant series.
Yeah.
Right? We played 5 games. The home team has won every game. And now we're going back to Toronto and you're giving the Raptors 4.5. All right, we can talk about Brandon Ingram not playing tonight, but we can also bring up the fact, as we did, that he's brought absolutely nothing to the Toronto Raptors. And this opens up the floor for Barnes, opens up the floor for Murray Boyles, opens up the floor for R.J. Barrett, and the Raptor role players shoot the 3 much better when they play at home. I get the feeling that the Raptors win the game outright tonight, Kevin, and then lose Game 7 in Cleveland on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, and I brought this up the other day, and we kidded, and we had to laugh about it. We said, oh, those are LeBron stats. Mm-hmm. Well, it's now Evan Mobley stats. It's now Evan Mobley stats because it's 0-3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's 0-3. And what I'm bringing up for people wondering, we brought up the other day, the Raptors have never won in Cleveland in the playoffs before. Mm-hmm. They've never won a road playoff game in Cleveland before. But we brought it up. Yeah, okay. It was LeBron, like, all the time. And those championship teams that the Cavaliers had, that the Raptors used to run into all the time in the playoffs. But here we go again. It's been like 3 straight they've lost on the road. So to me, I'm almost getting ahead of myself and thinking they win tonight, but can they win on the road on Sunday? I'm not so sure they can.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. But
and then you get the Magic and Pistons tonight, which is the other debate too, which
so
interesting card tonight in the NBA.
Yeah, it really is, Gabe. But I got to tell you, ultimately, I'll say right now, I am on Detroit and the Lakers for very, very similar reasons. The Magic made 17 threes last game, okay? That's not who they are. I don't think they'll score at the same level. The Rockets, we talked about this, 14 threes in their last game. They still didn't score 100. I don't think Houston will score it very well. I don't think Orlando will score it very well. I like Detroit, and I like LA.
I think if we had some psychoanalysis looking in the past, we're going to look past and go, yeah, Kevin never really understood this Orlando team.
That's fair.
Along the way. And I don't say that as criticism because all these teams in the NBA are up and down all over the place. But I think Orlando are starting to prove themselves to be trustworthy. Dude, it took Cade Cunningham to drop like 44, bro, the other night. Like, seriously, right? Like, it's Cade Cunningham carrying this team. And to me, it's very sort of, it comes down to Kevin in these games, bro. It comes down to mental toughness. It comes down to, like, it's almost like a UFC fight or a boxing match. Like, a lot of times the underdog will look good, bro, in the first round. Mm-hmm. Right? But after he got punched in the face a couple of times, it's late in the third. He's not looking so good anymore. Right? And we saw this with the Atlanta Hawks where they just completely hit the wall. It was gut check time, and it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Right? Tonight, it's gut check time for the Toronto Raptors. Tonight is gut check time for the Detroit Pistons, but it's also gut check time for the Orlando Magic. And I guess the best way of putting this, in my opinion, I totally agree with you with the Rockets. I almost want the Rockets to win just to see, like, all right, let's get a game 7 out of this and see how this plays out. But my inner voice says, yeah, they're really not that good, right? The Lakers have just kind of lost and didn't play well the other day and still was close, etc. But I trust Orlando more, and it's funny because Orlando are the ones that are underdogs.
Can I make an argument, Gabe?
And it's up to 4. I can't lay 4 with the Houston Rockets tonight, even if I think they're going to win a game.
Yeah, but I understand your Cade point, but isn't there, they were at home. Paolo Banchero scored 45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, made 6 threes, and they lost against the Pistons team that's been struggling to score? Like,
they dug themselves an early hole. They dug themselves an early hole.
Yeah, they were down 12. Well, yeah, they looked like Detroit was going to cover all game long. I thought it was gutty by Detroit to not fold because you and I had agreed with you. I was like, is Detroit going to be able to win a close game against these guys, or are they going to feel the pressure too much? I think Pistons Magic is the type of series where if you're betting Detroit, you are setting yourself up to look a little dumb because every game you're laying a number against a team that's maybe not looked better than the other team at any point. But the regular season, they look better. You know what, Gabe? Actually, to your point, you know what I'm also doing in this game? Jalen Duren, points, rebounds over. It's out of control. I can't help myself. I can't. I went back to Jalen Duren. I did this earlier in the series at 29 and a half.
Bovey the other day, who was all over Paolo Banchero, if you remember.
Oh, yeah. He flew.
And absolutely lit it up. Like I said, it's gut. These are sort of emotional, they're tests. They always say in sports in the playoffs in these series is the elimination game is the hardest game to win. Right? Like that's the one, like I said, it's sort of it's real and you separate the pretenders from the contenders here. And I've never believed in the Houston Rockets really having any sort of intestinal fortitude. Very much. If the Lakers show up tonight, they should win. And they're getting 4 points. Are they really going to play poorly 3 games in a row now? They could, but I don't trust the Detroit Pistons. I trust the Lakers more than the Pistons tonight.
Yeah, I think that is I like the Lakers more
than
the
LeBron
Pistons.
over
I'm
22 and a half. Is his number too late?
I'm glad you mentioned that. We're going to talk to Craig next, but some of the number movement here, I don't know if it's like, oh, LeBron's on 1 day rest, he's too old, drop his number by 1 million kind of thing. But
no, I expect a big LeBron night tonight. And the other thing is, too, I think people think, oh, Austin Reeves is back and this. Yeah, that gives more room for LeBron. It opens up space. It's harder for him when no one else was there. It helps that Austin's there, actually.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk to Craig next. We'll get back to all the playoffs, NHL as well on SportsGrid.
Can't alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget. Who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back. The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too. And these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out. Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid. We're now joined by Craig Mish, host of Newswire, right here on the grid. Of course, Pro Baseball Today on weekends as well, and really covering all things Major League Baseball for us. And, Craig, we enter May, and what stands out? Some good, some bad. There was one thing that I saw just the other day, and it still holds true. It's very jarring. You could absolutely say it's kind of cooking the books a little bit. But as we enter May, there is precisely one team in the American League who is above 500 with a positive run differential.
Yeah.
And it is the New York Yankees. It probably says more about the rest of the league than New York on its own, but I found that to be jarring.
I think that's a great point by you. 3 teams over 500 in the American League. 3 teams over 500 in the American League. The other teams that I think have interest, at least one of them to me, who we'll get to, but Seattle and Texas, those are the 2 other teams with a positive run differential. And so that is a stat, by the way, Kevin, that the teams use, like they use much deeper modeling and, and have systems that we can never touch or even look at. But for like front facing info, run differential is definitely something that teams look at, and they make decisions a lot of times at the trade deadline as to whether or not they really feel like they're in it. So it's a great point. I would tell you that there's no chance that it'll just be 3 teams over 500 in the American League. It may not be. It may not be 7 this year. It may not, but it'll be more than 3 by the time we get to the end of the year.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. It's kind of, that's why I had like the positive run differential again. It's just like, you have Tampa Bay 6 games over 500. It's -1, but still like a negative run differential. It's kind of amazing. I'm wondering, Craig, as we enter May, is there a team right now that you find to be going under discussed, a little under the radar, positively or negatively right now?
Yeah, I think along those same lines, I think Seattle is going to be in it, and that's not saying anything that anybody doesn't know. But I think the Rangers are an interesting team too, because in this first month or so of the season where it seems like no one is hitting, like no teams are hitting, and if you're using the old school batting average, if you're hitting 240 right now, it's like hitting 290 or 300. I think the Rangers may have something going here. I like what Eovaldi has shown. They have DeGrom. If they can get Gore going in the right direction, along with some of the hitting, and Josh Young has been fantastic for Texas. Skip Schumacher in his first year did a good job in Miami in 2023. Usually every single game, he's played that kind of like the World Series. He sort of played like that, what is here in Miami. Every game was like 7th inning. They're down, still playing like they got to win that game. So, I don't know. I look at Texas right now, and based on what you just said with some of the run differential stats, I think that's a team to keep an eye on, especially if all these other teams are just going to fall apart as the season goes on.
Yeah, I think that that's totally fair. The one team that kind of, again, I don't know if this is more a me thing than people around the league, Craig, that you would speak to, but the Chicago Cubs are all of a sudden looking how they are supposed to. Like, they got off to a slow-ish start. They've won 12 of their last 15. To me, because it's been such a rocky start for some, ball clubs, obviously the Mets and the Phillies come to mind.
Yeah.
But the Cubs kind of benefited from that, right? I think they may have swept both of those teams. So Chicago feels like a group based on pedigree and performance. You go, okay, I should be watching you play this postseason.
Well, the Brewers have been that team every year that we thought would have a drop off, and then now we're going to ask that question again, right? Like, we have to do that with Yelich out and Churio out, and then make no mistake about it, one of the leaders of that team who went down, I mean, not technically down yesterday. I guess we'll have to wait and see with Brandon Woodruff, whose velocity was just way down yesterday. One of my favorite pitchers who has figured it out just how to keep coming back from these injuries year after year. I mean, if the Brewers are not in this thing and it's the Cubs and the Reds, and I never really bought into the Pirates. I don't care what was, they could, sign a couple of guys 2-year deals or whatever. It's not happening for them. I still love the Reds a lot, as I've told you from the beginning. But yes, I think the Cubs are very much in it to win it. No question that they're off to great starts. And, going back to some of those teams that we talked about, the faller outers, so to speak, lost a lot of confidence in Houston. I've been telling you this for weeks. Boston, hard to lose confidence. But hey, guess who's back again? Donnie Baseball. That team's undefeated since he took over. Let's not eliminate the Phillies just yet.
No, one of those teams is going to have to make some noise. And on the Pirates, by the way, as someone who thought they could maybe make a little bit of noise.
No, they still
that team, but also them having that's an impressive start and being in last place entering May. That's why the Central is a fascinating early watch. Craig, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy the weekend. You can catch Craig, of course, on Pro Baseball Today right here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back with more Game Time decisions.
Alienate your fan base. That's the problem. You got to show your fan base that you're still trying to win, and you want to sell tickets in the summertime. You don't want to go into mid-May and say, all right, we're 15 games out, but it's still only early May. No, fans will stay away. So you don't have the luxury anymore of just waiting. So someone's got to get fired. One of these teams is going to fire someone by the end of the month.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
I thought the Jets would have pulled the Ty Simpson move. I was desperately worried that was what they were going to do. But instead, they ended up getting it right with Bailey. And so did, by the way, the prediction markets, because we saw all that money come in for Bailey. It's kind of funny because all it is, and then you forget, who did Arizona go with? I mean, Arizona went with a running back.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're seeing, as sports betting is continuing to rise, that some of the potential issues around it are rising too, and these companies are having to deal with that. You have several lawmakers have introduced bills across states in Congress to potentially curb some of the problematic activity. In some cases, like in Ohio, we talked about last week, to potentially end online sports betting.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a 7-game sprint with a whole lot of volatility, right? You don't want the best team, so to speak, Donnie. You want the team that has a favorable group stage, weaker knockout path, and has some penalty variance coming their way here, because this is all about the path to the final, Donnie. It's not about the best team, because the best team can get knocked out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back here on SportsGrid, and we've talked some NBA playoffs. We'll get back to it, obviously, but we've also got the NHL postseason. We're going to talk a little Kentucky Derby before we get out of here. Don't worry about that. But, Gabe, the NHL tonight, tough games. I mean, tough games, tight lines. Nobody, really more than minus 120, right? Maybe Buffalo by a bounce. 5.5 everywhere you look in terms of these totals. Start off with Montreal and Tampa Bay.
All right, Montreal and Tampa Bay, guys. We're going into Game 6. The Canadians have a 3-2 series lead. The Lightning and the Canadian series has been tied or within 1 goal for all but 5 minutes and 37 seconds. Imagine. They played 5 hockey games. 5 hockey games. And the series has been tied or within 1 goal for all but 5 minutes of it, Kevin. This is 2 hockey teams in a phone booth. All right?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, and one gets out alive. And there's no room. It's like, you know what I mean? You're like shuffling around, like, all right, getting your elbow up. You're like, I'm getting out. No, you're not getting. It's like as close as it gets. There's been at least a 1 goal margin for 98%, less than a one goal margin for 98.2% of playing time. Like, but this is where we dig in. Tied 58.7% of the time. Shout out to our boy Chris Meany for the stat. Tied 58.7% of the time. Montreal leading 32.7% of the time. Tampa leading 8.6% of the time.
Okay. That's
not
different.
not all things are created equal, are they, Kevin? And what did I talk about? What did I say last night about the Minnesota Wild?
Right?
Yeah, I said with the Wild and Stars. I said, yeah, it's really close, but if you're watching, the ice is starting to tilt one way. And it's not good for Dallas. And they got lit up last night. Montreal are the better team. They're the better team. This shows it. Like, this stat is pretty telling, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's super close. So in other words, Tampa's had to lead for 8.6% of the series.
When you're playing games this
it?
close, too, right? I think it says a lot, Gabe. I do think you have told us, though, one of the scary things with hockey is you can be dominant and lose. That doesn't really happen
the
in other
Penguins
sports.
were all over the Flyers. And the Flyers won, right? Like, but the thing is, Kevin, so the same thing, guys, for Utah and Vegas tonight. Utah and Vegas, man, they went to double overtime like 2 games ago. And in the last game, they went to overtime, and the overtime ended with like a minute left in overtime. Like, we were literally like a minute or whatever away from going to double overtime 2 games in a row. Like, they're super close as well. And then you get this Boston-Buffalo series, which is very NBA-like. You blow me out, I'll blow you out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not a lot of close games, Kevin. Like, seriously. Like, Buffalo rolls in there, and Buffalo rolls into Boston and beats them 6-1. Just smokes them. Then they go back to Buffalo, and Boston's like, oh, man, Boston's winning already? Like, it's amazing. Home ice has meant nothing in this series. So I don't know what to make tonight, Kevin. My gut feel tells me it's the Buffalo Sabres night tonight.
Interesting.
I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? There's the saying, I'll give my opinion on every game, but like there is the saying, the odds makers have to make a line for every game. You don't have to bet every game, right? If you've got an angle on it, God bless you. But this Sabres-Bruins is unpredictable as hell. I do think the Canadians close them out tonight.
Yeah, I lean Boston just in, are they going to lose all the games at home? It's a tough sell. And I thought that
best
before
home
Gabe
record in
told
the
me
NHL.
that they're just a dominant home team, right? That makes me think Boston is interesting. But also, I mean, this is a Sabre team we know, Gabe, going back to the regular season, kind of when they turn the corner, they don't lose 2 in a row all that often, right? They're a hard team to beat twice like that. With Tampa Bay and Montreal, the thing that kind of jumps off the page a bit for me, for Montreal specifically, as I told you, I thought they could make a run within the playoffs here. If they can close this and Boston forces a 7th game, that'll feel like a win on top of everything. Because a Game 7 is so taxing. And if Montreal get that little bit of extra rest game, I feel like that could be just that little bit of an extra leg up.
Most people would expect. We talked about the Knicks path yesterday, in which, like, okay, yeah, you got to play Boston, but after that, it looks pretty, it looks pretty clear. Now, listen, the Carolina Panthers still the team to beat right now in the Eastern Conference, but there's the assumption in Canadians' world that they'll beat Buffalo or Boston. Like and forget about the standings. Yeah, Buffalo, this, and Tampa, that, whatever. You know what I mean? That put it this way, Kev. Tampa are the ones that won Stanley Cups. Tampa are the one with Hall of Famers on their team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not old, but they're veterans type of deal. Buffalo are a young upstart team. Boston are a overachieving team's been carried by a goalie and one player in Pasternak. Like they're not really great. They've really overachieved and gotten a lot. They've punched a lot above their body weight. Like no one thought the Bruins were going to be good this year. And conversely, people thought the Canadians. I think a comparison, Kevin. I think the people in the hockey world sort of compare the Canadians to the Spurs right now a bit. It's like this team is going to win a Stanley Cup. Like when people if you ask people what's the best core, what's the best moving forward, not like right now, like the Colorado Avalanche best team. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if you wanted a core of guys like the Canadians, basically, Kevin, have 8 guys that are all stars that are under 25 years old, and they have more kids coming in. Like they're really, really stacked, but they've also got guys. It's one of these things where it's yeah, they're going to be really good in 2-3 years, cup good. And it's yeah, well, they're kind of good now, aren't they? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's yeah, well, it's sort of like the Spurs. Oh, boy, watch out in a couple of years with Wemby. And you and I watch it. It's well, dude, they can beat anybody right now. Seriously. You don't look at the Spurs and go, oh, they're a bunch of kids. They don't have a chance. You're yeah, this is a dangerous team.
What's interesting with the NBA and or the NHL, it's a little similar to the NBA where everyone's playing these long series. Carolina and Colorado haven't played in a week. And if you look at the market, if you look at the market, Colorado's plus 220, Carolina plus 270, 9-1 Vegas. Just a huge gap between these teams and everybody else right now. And
no value with Colorado, bro. But the thing is, the Minnesota Wild are good. Right. And there's disproportionate bracket in the National Hockey League. The seeding is really bizarre. Right? They have the second and the third place team in each division playing each other. So you literally have the second and third seeds in the NHL play each other in the first round, Kevin. Mm-hmm. That's how insane it is. I had a great response when I tweeted out the Canadian stat. When I said the Canadian and Lightning series is as close as it can be, man. Look how long it's been tied for, or only someone's had a goal. And somebody said to me, yeah, that's what happens when you have the 5 and the 6 seed playing in the first round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about it, guys. Imagine the NBA, Kevin, or NCAA. You get the bracket and you're a 2 seed, and you're yeah, but we're playing a 3 seed in our opening game. And then, but the other guys, the 10s and 11s, are all going to play each other. You'd be like, no, this is unacceptable. We're not doing this. The NFL wouldn't play all year and then say, okay, the 2 and 3, and no. But here we are. So it leads to these competitive imbalances. So where I'm going, Kevin, is, yeah, the Colorado Avalanche are technically the best team in the NHL. Best team in the NHL never wins the Stanley Cup, ever. And secondly, Colorado have choked a lot over the years. They're like the Atlanta Braves, where they win a lot, but they've only got one championship to show for it in this McKinnon era. And the Minnesota Wild are good. They're not a joke. The Minnesota Wild are a good team. Should Colorado be favored? Yes, but that's not an easy pass for the Colorado Avalanche. Meanwhile, you got the Ducks in Vegas and Utah and stuff at the bottom of this. But let's not dismiss this Duck team, Kevin. The Ducks are dangerous. I think the Ducks beat Utah or Vegas next.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. They have hypotheticals out with, Vegas minus 200 against Anaheim if they were to meet for the series. Utah minus 120 against Anaheim. I mean, it's probably a home ice situation, but man, that is not exactly what I was expecting. Good for Utah. We'll see what they can do tonight. We'll be right back. Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like that.
To test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
You don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
Manager, hitting coach, bench coach, assistant hitting coach, third base coach, hitting strategy, and game planner here. It's almost like a line change in hockey, Craig.
Some of these questions that have to be asked, Donnie, would be, what did you think a month ago, Donnie, right? Like right before the season started, did you think that these coaches were the answer to your season? Because if not, why did you wait all off season to make a change like that?
Pro Baseball Today only on SportsGrid.
If LeBron James is the causal reason, and he would be, that the Lakers take out the Houston Rockets, I got to change my narrative a little bit. I gotta walk back some of the aggressive criticism of the self-appointed greatest player of all time, which he's not, but that's why I said self-appointed.
The Craig Carton Show only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, this weekend, the Kentucky Derby. It is, I mean, it's really like no other. Usually it'll lead to, a relative or two because of what I do. Be like, hey, can you help me out get a bet down on the Kentucky Derby? Like, I can place it. I can't help you with who to bet. Just tell me what name you like. But if you want more than just a list of names, Gino Piccolo is going to help us out. Daily Racing Forum has done this for us now for a little bit here, Gino. And the thing that jumped out to me, but again, tell me if I'm completely wrong because I'm fine with that. It's horse racing. I don't know as much. I feel like usually the favorite is a bit shorter than what we're seeing at this point in time. Seems like a more open field here for the Kentucky Derby, Gino.
This year we had, instead of that one top horse, we had a big three. It was Renegade, Commandment, and Further Ado. We didn't really know who was going to go favored between the three of them. And then when Renegade drew the inside, right now, he's still actually like the lukewarm favorite of 5-1 in the live betting. So the last time we took a look about an hour ago, because the windows are already open. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that one horse that you're going to see in the like 3 to 4-1 range. I think we're going to have three horses all around 5-6-1. So this is going to be as good of a price on the favorite, because what's wrong with 5 or 6-1 on the favorite, guys, right? Like usually we're trying to beat the favorite because the favorite is 2-1, 8-5, 6-5, something along those lines. But if you've got a 4 or 5-1 favorite, that's a fantastic price.
Great question, Kevin. You're right. Think about what the exotics are going to pay, guys. Even the exactas, trifectas, and then you get into the exotics at these prices, because you're right. Normally there's a favorite and we're trying to find, all right, who we're going to pair pair them with. I go back a ways with this, Gino, and I know you're looking at Commandment in this race, but Thunder Gulch is one of my favorite horses of all time. Probably is, like, made the most money from Thunder Gulch. It's like 95, won the Florida Derby, won the Derby, 94, 95 era, etc. And ever since then, it just sort of became my thing. I'm like, you know what? I bet the Florida Derby winner in a Kentucky Derby. It's a square angle, but not so square, bro. As you see, a lot of Florida Derby is like the most successful of all time, guys. Actually, they've won 15 times now. So I'm not just simplifying it too much. But what are your thoughts on Commandment? And nothing wrong with getting Commandment at 6-1.
Gabe, you're absolutely right, because in this modern era of racing too, in like the last 20 years, 7 of the Kentucky Derby winners last raced in the Florida Derby. So, I mean, that is by far the biggest of any of the prep races. I think there are 4 that come out of the Arkansas Derby, and then there's 3 that come out of the Santa Anita Derby, and the other races only have 1, the Wood Memorial, 0. So when you're talking about like which race usually produces a Kentucky Derby winner, it's generally the one in Gulfstream Park with the Florida Derby. And I completely agree with you. This year, I like Commandment a lot. He's the only horse in the race with 4 wins. He's won all 4 races in a row, and he's beat the best groups. In those races down in Florida at Gulfstream Park, he defeated horses like the Puma and horses like Chief Wallaby, and they are very logical contenders in this Derby as well. So he's defeated them. He defeated Chief Wallaby multiple times, and he's got a great come-from-behind running style where he can sit kind of mid-pack, and he's shown us he can battle in between horses. He can go up the inside. He can come around. 6-1, that's a very nice price. He's my top selection, Commandment, in here. So, yeah, we're going to be right there with you, Gabe. We're going to be going for the Florida Derby horse, and I think a lot of those horses coming out of Gulfstream are going to be very strong.
Who else, Gino, is, are you, when you're trying to exacta, box, trifecta, whatever it may be, who else is really catching your eye here at the Derby?
And so Gabe was mentioning the pools just a minute ago. Last year, the exacta pools, $30 million. The trifecta pools, $35 million. So there's so much money, even if it plays pretty chalky, pretty formful, you're still going to get really, really great payouts. The horse that I have in the second spot is So Happy. He came out of the Santa Anita Derby, and he's from Southern California. He's won 3 of his 4 races, and the only race he lost, it was his first time going longer, and he ended up getting caught up on the lead, and he battled a little bit, and he faded. Then his trainer, Mark Glatt, following that race, if you watched his morning workouts, he was training him to come from way off the pace with the target. He would put a horse way in front of him, and they'd start, and then he would have him try to close at that target. So you could just see him working with this horse in the mornings. What happened in the Santa Anita Derby? He sat back and he made an excellent late run. And he's going to be kind of a sentimental favorite too, because trainer Mark Glatt, who's been a top trainer in Southern California for a while, his wife recently passed away just a couple months ago, right before he ends up winning the Santa Anita Derby. So in the greatest moment of his personal career, he's just conflicted. He's so like mixed emotions because he's obviously so sad that his wife is not there with him to share this along the way. So a lot of people are rooting for him. Mike Smith, the jockey, he's 59 years old. He would be the oldest jockey in history to win the Kentucky Derby. So he's going to get a lot of like favoritism, like some sentimental money that way. Those are my top 2, 6 and 8. But, when we're boxing some other horses up, we're looking for some long shots. There's a couple more in the mix for me, the 14 Patente and the 19 Golden Tempo. Those are going to be like my big bust out long shots. Patente, he's trained by Bob Baffert, who's won this race 6 times. And Patente wasn't too far behind So Happy. So I'm just kind of hoping that those races were good. And if they were, both of those horses can run well. And then the crazy long shot, the number 19, Golden Tempo, trained by Cherie DeVoe. If you don't know that name, over the last couple of years, she has become a top 10, maybe top 5 trainer in the game. She used to be an assistant for Chad Brown, so she trained under one of the best. And if she doesn't do it this year, in one of the next few years, she may become the first female ever to win the Kentucky Derby.
Wow. Gino, as an old school's 80 rocker, I almost need to put a couple of bucks on Great White, even though it's probably not the smartest thing to do. But all kidding aside, how do you feel about the Japanese horses? Like, there's always a lot of talk, it's never won a Kentucky Derby. Yeah, it's not like they've been racing for, 75 years in the Derbies. And we saw what happened with Forever Young. You got Wonder Dean, seems to be a little bit more popular than Dan and Bourbon. But how do you feel about the Japanese horses?
I actually prefer Dan and Bourbon of the 2. I think he has the chance more brilliant of the 2 of them. There's only been 8 horses from Japan to race, as you mentioned. Forever Young finished 3rd. So I think Dan and Bourbon is maybe a little cut behind Forever Young, but if you're looking for a wild card, I'm going to play some like pick 3s and pick 4s. And if I get alive, he's going to be one of like 5 or 6 horses I have trying to close out in the Derby. So anyone that needs a little help, as you were pointing out, Kevin, I get texts from people all the time. Who's the Derby horse?
I can
check
only
out
imagine.
DRF Newbie. Check out DRF Newbie. It's a brand new platform we have. It's for new racing fans. Lots of graphs, colors. It's super easy to understand. People text me once a year. I don't even get the birthday text message from them. All I get is the Kentucky Derby pick, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it tracks, man. On Twitter, @It's Me, Gino B. Gino Bacola, we appreciate it. Best of luck at the Derby. We'll round out these cards after the break on SportsGrid. There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like that.
To test them a little
I
bit.
like that a lot.
Oh, yeah, come on, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire only on SportsGrid.
Manager, hitting coach, bench coach, assistant hitting coach, third base coach, hitting strategy, and game planner here. It's almost like a line change in hockey, Craig.
Some of these questions that have to be asked, Donnie, would be, what did you think a month ago, Donnie, right? Like right before the season started, did you think that these coaches were the answer to your season? Because if not, why did you wait all off season to make a change like that?
Pro Baseball Today only on SportsGrid.
If LeBron James is the causal reason, and he would be, that the Lakers take out the Houston Rockets, I got to change my narrative a little bit.
A little bit.
I gotta walk back some of the aggressive criticism of the self-appointed greatest player of all time, which he's not, but that's why I said self-appointed.
The Craig Carden Show only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions back with you guys here on a Friday, man. I love the insight from Gino. I will say,
yeah, great
the
stuff.
Full breakdown of So Happy, he had me the whole way, and I don't mean to be ageist, but 59-year-old jockey, I'm out. I'll be honest with you, Gabe. I think I'm out. It just seems
so. You were all
outrageous.
the way in until he dropped.
Yep. I
Like
love the
59
story. I love the talent, the breakdown. And then, but the guy's 59. It's like, come on, that can't be right.
He's like, he'd be the oldest. I want to see now who's the oldest jockey to win.
It's gonna be like 42. Like, they're 59 seems outrageous.
I like that you were all in taking notes and you heard 50.
I was because Gabe, I don't know.
You and a new missus are about to buy a new house. And you find they're like, man, this is a great deal. This is great. And then at the end, we should let you know David Berkowitz, son of Sam, did live here once. It's one of those. It's like, all right, I don't know, we're leaving. Like, I like that it was the. And at the end, he's 59-year-old jockey. You're like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh, to put in context, I knew it was going to be this guy. I was like, it's got to be Willie Shoemaker. It's got to be, right? So it was, but to put in context, so one of the greatest ever, and it was 1986. He was 54.
Yeah, no. See, and he was one of the greatest ever. Like, we don't even know who this guy is. Again, respect.
Yeah, and that was a different era too. Like, it's a
5
different world
years.
now. Like,
yeah, come on.
Like, it's 1986 to 2026. Like,
just for perspective, like imagine LeBron was playing at 47 years old.
Here it is, Kentucky Derby Grandpa. Here's the headline: Kentucky Derby Grandpa.
No, see, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm out on that.
Hey, if it's me, I like Further Ado. For me, it's Further Ado. I got Commandment and Further Ado as my best two horses in this race.
Fair enough. The Golden Tempo sell was pretty good. I'm not going to go against you guys with Commandment. I can tell you some good stories about us looking for the house that you would really get a kick out of, but we got a lot of picks to get to here because I also I've been adding picks, Gabe, since this show started.
I just want to throw this in here, though. He has won the Derby, right? So Smith is what? He is a legend. He won in 2005 on a 50-1 long shot. Giacomo, I remember that one. And in 2018,
he wasn't even.
So 2005, so 20 years ago. Yeah, so he's 39. Yeah,
he wasn't.
Right.
Come on, man.
Some ages going on for Walsh here. I'm almost pulling for Mike Smith now.
think I got to bet him. I think I got to bet So Happy after all
You
this.
kill me with that. You're like, yeah, I was all in. I had a 59-year-old jockey. I'm out. Like,
I got to bet him. I have to bet him now. There's nothing I can do. Now I got it. Now I got to bet him. He's got a winning track record here. All right, let's make it happen here on a Friday night. I'll do these quickly behind the scenes. Kofsky is out in California betting Murakami on a home run at plus 285. I got to say, we might have laughed at Chris last night for the Knicks pick, and then they won by about 100. So maybe Murakami's going to homer tonight here, Gabe. Doan for a point from Sam. Royals money line from AJ. They are playing Seattle on the road late night. What do you have here, Gabe, on this Friday?
it's going to be an absolute madhouse in Montreal tonight. If you get a chance, the game's starting in about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, whatever. They got an extended pregame. But the Canadiens' pregame ceremonies are like none other. And it's going to be lit tonight because they can win their first playoff series in front of fans. Last time the Canadiens won a playoff series, they went to the Stanley Cup and stuff, but it was COVID, and they didn't have fans in the building. So it's like the first time in like 15 years or whatever. I don't know, like it was a long time. It's going to be a madhouse. Give me the Bleu Blanc Rouge, the Canadiens Montreal, Gagner ce soir. Canadiens win, plus 102. Orlando Magic, plus 3.5. Toronto Raptors, plus 4.5. RJ Barrett, double-double. 625, baby. Plus 625. But next to that, guys, I like RJ Barrett a lot tonight. I think his props, rebounds, like assists, rebounds, props, assists, the total combo. I think it's going to be an RJ Barrett night to shine tonight. And the Columbus Aviators. I usually don't like teams from Columbus, Ohio, Kevin, but it's a scrappy team. I tell you what, like Houston, they won last week against this very Columbus team. They were up like 17-0, hung on 17-13. They're playing again. This time it's in Columbus. They get blown out on the road all the time. Columbus's numbers and stats don't suck, Kevin. They've been a hard luck team. They've lost all 4 games by 7 points or less. So give me the Aviators.
All right. I actually bet the Aviators -3 because it's that kind of day for me. I also added a bunch of baseball. I'll get to it if I can. But Duran, 23.5 points, rebounds. This is 6 points lower than when this series started. I think the Pistons covered the 3.5. I don't expect the Magic to score. Mitchell's got a lot of pressure on him tonight, over the 25.5 points. Lakers win this game outright, but I'll take the 4. No reason to be greedy. LeBron over the 1.5 made threes. I agree with Gabe. Things open up here tonight for the King. Should be a fun one. Good luck. Mike Smith, so happy. We got some business to get. There is a pick tonight that Gabe has that, to some degree, I find completely outrageous. Then I looked at it a second longer, and it might be a really smart angle.
I like to test them a little bit.
I like
to test them a little bit.
I like that a lot.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know this team name? You should. You're in the sports business.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
The promising thing for Oklahoma is you've got this legislature that seems to be fairly behind sports betting and legalizing it for the tribes. Stitt is term limited out this year, so you will have a new governor in Oklahoma next year. So this will be a state to watch because there are a lot of tribes in Oklahoma saying, we want this. FanDuel came out as this was coming and said, we want the chance to partner with at least one of the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Manager, hitting coach, bench coach, assistant hitting coach, third base coach, hitting strategy, and game planner here. It's almost like a line change in hockey, Craig.
Some of these questions that have to be asked, Donnie, would be, what did you think a month ago, Donnie, right? Like right before the season started, did you think that these coaches were the answer to your season? Because if not, why did you wait all off season to make a change like that?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
If LeBron James is the causal reason, and he would be, that the Lakers take out the Houston Rockets, I got to change my narrative a little bit. I gotta walk back some of the aggressive criticism of the self-appointed greatest player of all time, which he's not, but that's why I said self-appointed.
The Craig Carton Show, only on
Prediction Markets Edge on the early line, a Friday edition. Love to see it here. Big time weekend, by the way. Major League Baseball going on? Absolutely. You take a look at the NBA playoffs, fantastic. NHL playoffs, Kentucky Derby, and so much more. But, Joe, sometimes we get some of these topics brought up in these predictive markets, which we've been doing a show for quite some time, that need our attention. Donnie right side, Joe Ranieri. Let's get right down to it. How about this? A tweet by David Payne Purdom. Quote, "We reached out to Polymarket